hate you both. I've hated you ever since I can remember. I hate you, and I wish you both had cancer. Cancer? Yes, in the head.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
This is the Stupid Cancer Show.
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Hello there, children.
Hey, kids.
People seem to like me because I am polite and I'm rarely late.
Don't worry, I got an idea.
And now, the host of the Stupid Cancer Show, Matthew Zack.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Because he has a lot of chutzpah.
All right.
Hello and welcome to episode 369 of the Stupid Cancer Show, the voice of young adult cancer. I'm your host, Matthew Zachary, a proud 19-year young adult brain cancer survivor, coming to you from the Chemo Deck, our fabulous studio in downtown Manhattan. Broadcasting since 2007, the Stupid Cancer Show is a production of Stupid Cancer, the largest charity comprehensively addressing young adult cancer, online at stupidcancer.org.
I'm Kenny Kane, co-founder of Stupid Cancer, welcoming all of our first-time and returning listeners. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes and following us on SoundCloud.
Tonight, stupid colon cancer, because it's not okay that 72,000 young adults are diagnosed with cancer each and every year. Got cancer under 40? Sucks, huh? Time to get busy living, folks, because the Stupid Cancer Show is changing the world, one chemo infusion at a time. When Dave Neway was diagnosed with Stage IV Colorectal Cancer in 2013, he and his partner Luis Freitas lives were turned entirely upside down. Dave and Luis join us right here live in studio to discuss leveraging all available treatment options and how life after cancer is beyond the cure, definitely a different thing. Survivor Spotlight on young adult breast cancer survivor and running coach Katie Anderson. Gonna be a great show. Here we go. Got a full house with no air conditioning. Hello, Kenny.
Hello, Matthew.
Noel Wimmer.
Hello, Matt.
Here. Mallory Rivera.
Hi.
President of the County. Dr. Sean Shapiro on the couch.
Hey.
And Janine Mortimer, our internet famous intern, waving from the couch with no mic. Janine posted a wonderful blog for us today about what it's like to be an intern here at Stupid Cancer. We got our internet fame today by posting it all over the universe, and very proud, considering that you came from the same stock as Kenny, who was my second intern.
Yeah.
And look what happened to him.
I've overcome all my deficits.
Exactly. Let's start with Mallory, because we launched CancerCon 2016 registration. Big deal.
We did. That happened on Thursday. It's very exciting. We have lots of people already signed up. So
Do we have a count?
we have approximately 51 people signed up. That is
Wow.
1/12 of the number of people that will be there.
In technically one business day.
In less than a week.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's extraordinary.
It's exciting.
Really a big deal. And Sean, where are we at with our Giving Tuesday recap? Because we did a lot of really good things last week.
It was amazing. The show of support for the cause was in full effect on Tuesday. We raised just under $12,000 for the young adult cancer community. So pretty amazing.
Yeah. Amazing shout out to everyone that helped us out. Giving Tuesday, apparently a big deal now. Really big stuff.
And Cyber Monday was also
that's
equally as crazy.
My segue to Kenny on Cyber Monday in our retail.
We sold like 100. We were doing a ugly sweater pre-order, and our ugly sweater, with the help of Vitaly Ricci, sold a ton. I want to say almost 100 of them.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So we'll start to see the selfies this week because they're getting shipped soon.
That's really great. That's really great. Anyway, Mal, as far as CancerCon goes, I wanted to talk about the agenda is now there.
Yes,
and we have
agenda.
a whole 40 workshops and sessions and whatnot. Do you want to tell us about a few of them?
Yes, so we have a lot of exciting sessions, bringing back some old ones from the past and some new ones like Chemo Brain, a session on PTSD, survivor guilt, long-term effects. There's also a few sessions specifically focused on relationships. We're bringing back Ethan's on and his fiance, which is very exciting.
Fantastic.
We're also having a session specifically for women in relationships.
Wow, very nice.
And our friends at City at Hope, someone's coming to do a session about couples coping with cancer together.
It gets better every year.
Yeah, it's very exciting. We have a full 40 sessions, so
wonderful.
Good things happening.
So my quick blurb is that I spent the weekend in Orlando, not at Disney World. I was at the annual meeting of the Association of Hematology, or the Academy of something like Hematology Oncology. It was like ASCO for blood cancer. And it's like this massive showmanship with these $100 million exhibit booths and whatnot. But the takeaways were really interesting. A lot of the diseases, including colon cancer, which we'll be talking about, are now, the medications and the technology are now catching up to the fact that they're applicable to young adults. And typically they build medicines for the people who get it the most, but now they're building medicines based on genetics. So young adults are now massive value, and I hate to say it that way, but we're finally matter to the big pharma universe because the drugs that they're producing work for us. So we're in a really great place optically and actually because we are the young adult universe and they need us. So A, they're paying attention to us, B, they're listening to us, and C, they're giving us money, which is what we need, which is exciting. So CancerCon is going to be full of all new friendships and partnerships from the pharma groups who are doing good by their word to actually help young adults fight and beat cancer, which is a big deal. So that's my quick update. All the science and all that nerdy stuff is online at hematology.org. You guys can follow them at @ash_oncology on Twitter. But with that, let's kick off our Survivor Spotlight. Katie Anderson is a breast cancer survivor and avid runner who loves getting people excited about exercising. I'm exiting this conversation having seen and experienced the benefits of exercise post-diagnosis and treatment. She volunteers with the Ulman Cancer Fund for Young Adults and their Cancer to 5K program. She recently guest starred as an expert at OMG East here in New York City. Please welcome to the Stupid Cancer Show, the one and only Katie Anderson. Hello. Hello. Where are you calling in from?
Oh, I'm from Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia.
No, I forgive you. It's okay. Anything like west or south of Jersey is like Europe, so it doesn't matter. But, I mean, your story's great. I mean, the whole idea of like what defines why are young adults different, not any better or worse or special, but why are we calling ourselves young adults? You were emblematic of that. You're a mom of a 15-month-old child. That doesn't happen when you're 80 with breast cancer. So I really think you're taking a very active role personifying our mission and by working with Ulman Fund. And thank you for helping us out this fall here in New York.
Yeah, it was a really great conference to be a part of. I was honored to speak and be on the panel.
So let's talk about your story. I always like to ask our guests, what was life like 6 months before you knew it was going to change? And what was that like for you?
Say that one more time, sorry.
What was life like for you 6 months before it all changed?
I guess I was, teaching third grade and doing lots of triathlons. I was a really avid runner and triathlete, so I was busy training and busy lesson playing and hanging out with my then boyfriend, now husband. And yeah, I guess just enjoying living in Washington, D.C.
So your boyfriend clearly stuck with you through all of this. Can you talk about how the relationship probably went through some challenges, of course?
Yeah. Very challenging, but I don't know if I would have gone through it without him. He stuck by my side the entire time. It was kind of serendipitous. We had talked about moving in together, and we kind of went back and forth, and we decided to move in together just a little bit before I was diagnosed. And, going through that, just the sheer diagnosis at being, 28 years old was hard enough. And then having a mastectomy and not being able to do anything on my own, let alone, I had to have him pull up my pants when I went to the bathroom, and all these things that we kind of laughed about, and it was kind of comic relief, saying like, oh, I bet you thought you wouldn't do this till I was 80 years old. Well, hi, I'm 28, and now you can help me shower. Isn't this great?
Yeah.
So, things got really intimate, but going through that, we realized that if we go through that, then we probably can go through pretty much anything. So,
how many months did you go through symptoms or whatnot before you had a proper diagnosis?
I just went to my annual gynecology appointment, and my gynecologist, thank goodness, found the lump. I wasn't doing breast exams, and I would have found it if I had, because I had very small breasts, and it was quite obvious once she found it. And she, was really on top of it. I've heard lots of stories where, doctors say, oh, you're young, don't worry about it, come back in a year, we'll see you, or come back in 6 months. And she said, hey, I think you should go get this checked out. And I'm really thankful that she said that, because they caught it really early, and I don't know, what would have happened if she hadn't been so aggressive with it. So.
Well, we need to get that doctor on the show, because we need more doctors like that who are aware that this actually happens. And you're right.
I know. Yeah. I have had friends who, not had as good, prognoses because of their doctors not being vigilant. So I felt really lucky.
So you went for an immediate, did you have a bilateral mastectomy?
So my doctor really pushed me to have a bilateral, and just being told I needed to lose one was hard enough. It was, I never thought about my boobs before. Honestly, I was happy they were small because I was an athlete, so they didn't get in my way. But when she told me I was going to lose one, I was like, no, this isn't happening. We can just take it out. I don't need to lose my breast. And then when she pushed to have two, I was adamant against it. I said, I want to have children and I want to breastfeed. And she, Johns Hopkins said the same thing. And I said, I don't want to. So I only had my left side removed, and I'm still nursing my daughter today. So I'm so happy that, and I'm almost 5 years from diagnosis. So I'm happy that I decided to not go that route. And knock on wood, I'm healthy and have been doing well since. So.
Well, I'll be the first on record, hopefully, to say that for a woman, you've got a massive set of balls.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I call it my power boob over here. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So, I mean, I love that the maternal instinct kicked in, even though you probably weren't even remotely thinking of, or like the prospect of motherhood falls by the wayside when you're given a cancer diagnosis. Was that brought to your attention that whatever treatment you might have, or whatever chemotherapy might have been facing, you could, create a sterility concern?
Yeah, it kind of, being young and diagnosed, as I'm sure that it's, you're already faced with all of these, like, okay, now I have these life questions I have to think about that I wasn't even, I knew I wanted kids at some point, but yeah, I wasn't married, I was just enjoying my life as a young 20-year-old, and I wasn't thinking about all these decisions that I would need to make, and then thinking about, like, well, what does this mean if I have children, and what is their risk of getting cancer, and all of these things kind of swirl through your brain, and like, well, should I not have children? Like, is that a poor decision? Like, what if I did have kids and I decided to go off tamoxifen early to get pregnant, but it was a bad decision? Like, what if that, I had a reoccurrence, and what if I died? All these things, like, I don't want to leave my child motherless. So all these things that kind of go through your brain that you feel like this isn't fair. Like, most young women and young to-be moms don't have to deal with those decisions. But, it was kind of just a crazy experience. And one, though, that I feel like I can kind of look back now and say, wow, like, I don't define myself by that anymore, by those experiences and by cancer, which is kind of a nice feeling.
No, and like I said, this is such an emblematic story of taking control of something you don't have control over, and like a decision to go against what everyone's telling you where they don't consider the quality and the meaning of your life against the cost of, like, they don't want to have the patient, not show, they don't want their patient to die because they didn't do what they said they were going to do, but yet you defied that. And we hear so many stories of people defying it. I actually turned down chemotherapy when they told me it would help me live a little better. And I said, no way. You've done enough to try to kill me with this. And here I am 20 years later. We had a woman on the show a couple of weeks ago who went against her doctor's orders to do complementary homeopathy in conjunction with her. And she's fine now. So I'm all for this. I think the part of your story that I'm most fascinated about, which starts a whole other level of discussion, is you are an athlete. You were always an athlete, and yet you still got cancer. So, what does that mean to the George Burnses of the universe who smoke and drink for 100 years and don't get anything, and then here we are, these young people that are fit and vegan or whatever, Mallory's, what are you, vegan now, Mal?
I am gluten-free.
Gluten-free, okay. So
I still
Me
eat
too, I just
animals.
find gluten-free.
yeah, so this is how I feel my old manhood kicking in when these crazy kids with their food. So you were in the fit prime of your life, and this happened to you, and now you are espousing all the values of exercise and wellness, and you did an exceptional job on this panel at our conference here in New York, OMG East. How do you reconcile the two?
Yeah, when I did get diagnosed, I remember a lot of my friends were like, but you're the healthy one. Like, how did this happen? Like, you're really, into exercise, and you eat well, and you don't eat meat, and you're always watching all these, different, superfoods and making sure you're just being really healthy. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of hard to not be really angry with your body and be like, hey, I treat you really well. Why
Yeah,
did you
exactly.
kind of stab me in the back here and turn on me? So that was definitely hard. And then it was hard to, have a mastectomy and not be able to even walk, when I'm used to training for marathons and, going out for long bike rides and swimming and, doing push-ups, all these things that you need to use your chest and your core and your back and stuff for. So that was really hard. And especially then when you do see people who clearly do not take care of themselves and, and I'm happy that they're alive and they're well. But sometimes you're like, God, I thought I was doing it right. Why does this happen? So it just kind of I guess, my dad was diagnosed 3 years before I was. And same thing, super healthy guy. And we kind of were just well, I guess cancer doesn't discriminate. That's a good thing, I guess. But I think I kind of took that, those feelings and wanted to find a place to give back to cancer patients and cancer survivors. And I found the Almond Cancer Fund, which is an amazing organization, and being able to volunteer as an exercise coach, because some people run, some people walk, I found so much meaning in that, to be able to say your situation sucked and it might still really suck, but I'm going to help you get through that through some sort of movement and help you to find some balance in your life through exercise.
Right. So let's throw a little love at the Almond Cancer Fund online at almondfund.org. They're one of our favorite partners in the young adult cancer space, and their Cancer to 5K program. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that specific support service?
Yeah, it's really neat. It's a 12-week program, and it's for any, it doesn't, it can be for young adults. It can be, sometimes we have really young runners. Sometimes we have runners who were diagnosed maybe, 15 years ago who come back. So you can be in treatment, you can be out of treatment, any type of cancer, of course, and you get a 12-week free exercise program. And at the end of it, you either walk or run a 5K. So it's really neat, and it's more than just this, let's get together and work out. I kind of call it a support group and movement, because there's so many people coming together who, most of them don't know each other, but they've all been in the same place, or they all are in the same place. And whether or not you talk about that every time, I think being around people who are going through what you're going through is just, it's nice to be in that space together and to just feel comforted by that. And then sometimes too, I would say, oh, hey, like, are you having issues with your tissue expander? Like, what's going on with yours? We could kind of talk about different things that we were going through that you knew other people in the group were going through. So that was nice too, to have that support. But yeah, people, start out, some of them have never ran before and they end up running the whole 5K, which is pretty cool. And it seems like it really boosts their confidence. And, exercise does so many amazing things for your mind and for your body. And I think that they really feel that, which is great.
So I usually ask the question, like, what do you tell other people? What would you like? What's your message to other people in your space? And it's like, don't have a double mastectomy. Like, that's your hashtag.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're diagnosed or if you're going through, a cancer, issue, I would just say, like, try to, as much as you can, like, try to stay positive. I know that's so cliche, but, try to find something that can be your outlet, whether it's exercise or something else. Exercise was my outlet. But whether it's like going out and gardening or, just getting some fresh air or going to the movies or just getting out and doing something. Because I feel like you can just get so sucked into that dark space. And I know that, it's important to feel and kind of appreciate where you are emotionally, but I think also it's important to get out and to move or to be with friends or to have some sort of outlet that you can kind of turn to when you're having a bad day. Even now, if I was getting kind of thinking about all this stuff and thinking about this, this podcast and talking with you all, I started to get emotional again because I haven't really thought about my whole story and situation. And, I just was crying the other day and talking to my husband. And, even if you're having this like 5 years from diagnosis, having an outlet, being able to talk or have support, I think it's just so important.
Well, you're doing it right, and I should just reiterate, epic props to your husband for sticking with you and being the man. That's a really big...
He is the man,
It's
yes.
a really big deal. We don't take caregiving lightly here. It's a major concern, a major undertaking, and our next guests are emblematic of that as well. So, Katie Anderson, breast cancer survivor, mom of a beautiful 15-month-old. Congratulations on that. Avid runner, epic stupid cancer advocate, volunteers for the Ulma Cancer Fund, and apparently newly gluten-free. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Stupid Cancer Show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Good luck.
Thanks. Goodbye.
All right, Kenny. And now the news.
Hello, I'm Kent Brockman, and this is Eye on Cancer.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Head on over to events.stupidcancer.org. That is events.stupidcancer.org. Sign up for meetup alerts and never miss an event again. If you'd like to learn more about hosting your own Stupid Cancer meetup, visit stupidcancer.org/meetup. All right, Matt, I will see you in Tomball, Texas. And that does it.
Where, Texas?
Tomball, Tomball.
All right, I'll take it. No one should face cancer alone because isolation sucks. Download Instapeer for iPhone, iPad, and Android. Create your account and instantly start chatting with someone just like you who've been there and walked in your shoes. Join our community of thousands of cancer patients, survivors, and caregivers right now. Instapeer.org.
We launched a newsfeed aggregator on Tumblr for all the articles, blogs, and stories we couldn't possibly have the time to post on social media. Check out We're Reading 24/7 and don't miss a beat. Subscribe over at stupidcancer.org/feed.
Cancer is expensive. Check out cancermademebroke.com. Yes, that's cancermademebroke.com. Our national partnership with Give Forward, the #1 platform to start a medical fundraiser. You did not ask to get sick, and your community wants to help. Again, that's cancermademebroke.com to learn more and start your personal fundraiser today.
Support our programs and services by heading over to stupidcancerstore.org. You'll feel great and look great in your new Stupid Cancer gear. That's stupidcancerstore.org. Be proud, wear Stupid Cancer.
And that is your Stupid Cancer News. All right. They've been sitting here so patiently, these two handsome gentlemen to my left here. Dave Neway and Luis Freitas. New York City. Dave's a New York City native in marketing at Pandora, like the
Not the jeweler.
Okay, like the social music. Okay, good.
Yes.
And Luis Freitas, who I just met recently at a conference that my brother put together, thanks to Ben, from South Africa, a group in Portugal, and now leads Pernod Ricard's digital experience team. They met in 2012, were married in 2014. This is a love story and a survivor story you guys got to hear. Please welcome to the show Dave Neway and Luis Freitas. Gentlemen, how was that for an intro?
That was great.
I've done this before. All right, so like we met even probably just a month ago or so, and we were just at a table randomly. We didn't know each other, and the issue came up, and I think I had like either stupid cancer on my laptop or something. You're like, what is that? I was like, why do you want to know that? And it's like, well, my partner had like we just went down this immediate best friend rabbit hole instantly. And I guess my first question is, were you aware that there are things for people that aren't 80 in general in cancer, and let alone colon cancer? And I mean, Dave, you're the patient here, and you guys, what a great story. We're going to hear it all now. But to me, the aha moment is, how do they not know about this? And is that kind of where you were at in this moment?
Yeah, I think I did. I think during some of my like initial sort of like internet researches, like very late at night, I think I definitely came across stupidcancer.org at some point. And I'm sure I gave you my email too, so I'm sure I get emails from you somewhere. But,
probably.
But then I think after a certain point, I kind of regretted. I didn't really want a lot of incoming communication, like reminding me about cancer or the word cancer.
Of course.
I was like, I'm just gonna back away from that. But like, yeah, I think you guys are like really accessible, easy to find, just some very simple internet searching. Some good SEO happened.
But that's all this guy, the redhead here, is in charge of everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, I remember, at least in the beginning, when we tried to do some research and try to understand what were the statistics, what was out there. And I think sometime like a month in, we forbid ourselves to go online and look for the statistics because we realized this is not going to help us in any shape or form because the statistics were highly skewed, specifically for stage 4 colon cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So at a certain point, we told each other, okay, we're just going to listen to the doctor. We're not going to look online, and that's it.
Well, that's perfect then. So we have to not, I mean, the elephant in the room is, how the hell does someone not 80 get colon cancer? Like, that's the big, we've seen this huge uptick, and I was mentioning this briefly to you, so where blood cancer and breast cancer are the biggest young adult cancers if you look at incidence, but colon cancer has gone from like 5th to 4th in the last 5 years, next to thyroid cancer. So it's even moving. So it's not like we're getting it detected earlier, which gives you the illusion like more people get cancer over 60 because they're getting screened. It's not incidence. But in our space, it's legitimately more people getting the actual disease. What was, you heard my question to the first guest, like what was life like for you together as this was yet to be a thing? That you're like, before you're diagnosed, you're just being normal and living your life, right?
Yeah, I think it was sort of like very sort of typical, very blissful, sort of new love. We had just started dating, I guess 9 months before I was diagnosed. So I guess 6 months before I was diagnosed. It was still kind of in the incipient stages of our relationship. And it was, typified by a lot of revelry and daytime drinking and
smoking.
We were both smoking cigs at the time. We were having a good time. It was, I think, sort of for me, very much a continuation of like my earlier days, and just really enjoying spending time together, and still kind of obviously getting to know each other. Yeah, anything to add? Did I leave anything out?
How did you meet?
We met on OkCupid, and then decided to. I know that's like so many years ago, but yeah,
Friendster. We met on Friendster.
We met on MySpace. In AOL chat room. No,
we were the two people on MySpace.
Yes.
But yeah, we decided to eventually meet up in person, and obviously hit it off.
Well, that's really wonderful. So you're from Yale. Went to Yale.
I'm from Yale.
You went to Yale. I'm a state school guy. I look at Ivy Leagues, and so you did double dipped Ivy League, Yale and Columbia.
Couldn't get enough.
What was your degree in?
So undergrad, it was in political science and music. And then for business school, I was, mainly focused in marketing management.
So we have something intentionally in common that's very rare. We've both been playing piano for 31 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to have a dueling piano off.
All right.
I'm the trophy wife.
with Belgian beer as our prize. How's that? So let's talk about let's talk about your diagnosis, and then we'll talk about where your relationship, everything just blows out of the water.
Sure.
So what were your early symptoms? And I mean, most young adults are stage 4 because we're probably going to hear why.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any symptoms. I guess that's kind of like the scary part, is that like the only signal I like really tangibly felt from my body was like a kind of a dull stomach ache, and kind of like the left part of my stomach. Maybe.
Which could have been that steak you ate the night before.
It could have been. I just had like a cabbage salad. It literally could have been anything.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think that much of it, but it persisted for like 2 or 3 days, and finally to the point where I was like, oh, maybe I should just go to the doctor. And Luis and also my mother were very supportive of that idea, and sort of urged me to go.
And was it right then and there, or did they dismiss it? Did you come back?
Not exactly. So I couldn't get in to see my primary care provider, so I went to City MD.
I love that place.
Yeah, I know. I should be like a paid spokesperson. But yeah, I went there, and I guess the doctor did some like palpating and asked me some questions, and then he recommended that I go get a CAT scan, because I think his thinking, at least like what he expressed to me, was that he thought it could be diverticulitis.
Yeah, ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis,
Right.
Crohn's. These are the things that we typically get with these symptoms.
And then just given that I had like no family history of cancer, I don't think that was really even a question. So I went and got the CAT scan, which sucked. That was not fun, obviously. And then they called me back the next day, and I guess both Luis and I had kind of like a weird feeling about it, so we both went. And
Yeah, they're not supposed to call you to come back the next day.
Right. Yeah, that was definitely not. I wasn't aware of like what I was getting myself into by agreeing to that. But yeah, so I went back the next day, and then they went over the scan and told me that there was a singular mass and lesions on my liver, and then they asked if there was anyone there with me. So I was like, yeah, actually, my boyfriend's in the waiting room, so I had to call Luis back, and that's kind of where we got the news. But I think we were both kind of in a state of like disbelief, of course. And even after that, we went to go kind of like vet the diagnosis, because it was such an outlier. And, the initial doctors that I saw both actually didn't really believe the diagnosis. They thought that it was a mistake.
Yeah.
So we had some...
did you get like second opinions, or what, did you start? You said you pledged no internet, or was that no? You didn't.
That was
pre no internet.
Yeah. I think eventually I realized I needed just to have a colonoscopy, because I hadn't had one, but I was only 33 at the time. So
and we don't get them,
right?
Yeah.
So what generally like 33-year-olds aren't getting colonoscopies.
No.
So particularly when there's no history of colon cancer in the family.
Of course.
Even then, like 33 would be too young, most likely. So. After that, I went and had the colonoscopy, where the doctor was like fairly confident that what he saw was malignant and needed to come out.
So how soon between then and surgery?
I think it was like 4 days.
So everything kind of really changed in about a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 4 days. Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible. Yeah. Well, it's incredible that it was... So the conversion was so quick, even though, because again, like you would normally go, oh, it's an ulcer, come back in 6 months if it's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, what if I hadn't had such a great diagnostician that day? I mean, that's...
or if City MD didn't exist.
Right.
City MD.
It was really...
MD.
Yeah. I mean, like, thank God for that guy. His name is Dr. Khan. I think he's actually still there on West 57th Street. Yeah. He was... The guy knew his stuff. So.
That's good. That's really good. So where were you treated? Who was your primary doctor in?
Yeah, we decided to go for broke, and literally we went for the gold standard at Memorial Sloan Kettering.
Okay.
I basically had sort of like the trifecta of surgeons. I had Jose Guillem as my colon surgeon, who is like, I think he's in like the top 1% of colon surgeons in the United States. He's just incredible. Neil Siegel, who's actually South African, so it's kind of a nice, like sort of innate connection there. He's actually my oncologist, but he's also PhD, so definitely educated and knows what he's doing. And then had Peter Kingham, who's also a fellow Yale grad, so I felt like there was some good sort of...
There's some like, some serendipity happening in that mix.
It was very Bashert, and he was my liver surgeon. So like
Bashert for the goyim out there means meant to be. End of Wicked Julia.
Look it up. So yeah, the three of them worked really well together as a team to sort of combat, what I was up against.
Wow. So let's talk. We face. You heard the first guest. insurance, navigation, peer support, financial issues. Like, these are things that are hard enough when you're well and not 80. Were you given like a clinical care coordinator or a navigator that told you this is what's going to happen? Or was it really like a minefield of what's going on?
I'd say it was kind of the latter. I was lucky in that I was employed at the time and still am. So I had really good insurance. So I was covered in that sense. So like I only paid a fraction of what like the actual treatments and everything.
Was this
cost.
at Pandora?
No, this was actually I was working under the employee of another company.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say that company on air. But.
If they're not a sponsor, it's perfectly fine. And They're probably not.
No, Unilever.
Not a sponsor.
Great company.
Okay.
But there's the opportunity.
Right? Yeah. Let's tweet at Unilever now.
But seriously, it's a good company. They take care of their employees. I mean, and they show that by getting them good health care, which Pandora also has. But at the time I was working for Unilever, and I wasn't really given like a roadmap of like how to navigate. I felt like I really needed like an intern or some sort of like assistant to sort of help me with like just like the sheer amount of paperwork, which is hard to do like when you're sick, as you said.
Yeah, but at the same time, his mom, like Tiger Mom instinct kicked in. Tiger Mom instinct kicked in.
Okay.
And Tiger Mom jumped.
Jewish Tiger Mom. Yes, even better.
So she just navigated everything. She was the one who started calling Sloan because it's difficult to get into Sloan.
Yeah.
So especially in a 4-day block, she was the one who moved the universe just to get this solved and to know what are the next steps and to do everything. She was amazing.
So I want to pivot to Luis because, hey, you were there when it happened. You were, how long were you in a relationship?
9 months.
9 months until I was diagnosed. Yeah.
I mean, that's just enough time to like either choose to stick with it or I'm out of here. Yep. So where were you in your mind? Can you share with us how that all went down for you?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, is that when it was diagnosed, the first priority in my mind is we got to get it fixed. Nothing else kicked in. The only thing was, okay, what do we do next? How do we fix this? What do we need to get done? So it's funny because in my mind, it never went through my mind the idea of
leaving.
It never did.
And that is an equal balance to some of the horror stories we hear where partners just say goodbye.
Yeah.
Marriages just end, engagements stop because people can't deal with it. So again, like our first guest, the husband, she wasn't even just dating, right? And then boom, he stuck with it and got married, and you guys have the similar story.
I mean, I know relationships that have ended because like someone gets like syphilis, I mean, or the flu or something that's like easily correctable with like some antibiotics. So
right.
Maybe syphilis I can understand, but like, no, I don't. I could never sort of like overstate how that made me feel that Luis stuck around.
Right. So what was it like for you? What was your role as caregiver now in supporting this? You didn't ask for it. It's one of the, we do a lot of workshops. I was mentioning to you, like a third of our community are caregivers in their 20s and 30s to partners and spouses and siblings and best friends. And it's a role you're just not culturally prepared for, at this level of down the rabbit hole. We talk about the guilt, that why isn't it me? And we talk about the isolation and are you even mindful of taking care of yourself to be there to take care of somebody else?
Yeah, the funny thing is, and when I speak to people about having been a caregiver, what I try to say is that above anything, it's more of almost an energy game, which is how do you keep positive? How do you keep the other person positive? How do you ensure that that you don't let the whole situation crumble emotionally? Because you're not a doctor. You can't do anything when it comes to the medical part. All you can do is guarantee that the person has a home and a safe harbor to come to mentally. And I personally think as a caregiver, the number one trick that I can tell anyone is don't make it about yourself, which is one of the things that I've seen sometimes when you see people who have cancer and the people around them, and sometimes you listen to the people around them and it sounds like they have cancer. And that makes me really mad because it's not about you, it's about the other person.
Well, I mean, and people are on both sides of this too. Like, cancer is a disease of the family, but that can be interpreted in multiple ways. We're equally sharing our burden to support this person, or you know what, I'm over here and I'm, so I get it. It's really valuable. And again, like, I think it's just, there's a nobility to being forced into this situation you didn't ask to be put in and make the choice that you're in it, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you had chemotherapy, the whole blown everything?
I had chemotherapy for, I think my whole treatment regimen lasted about 10 months.
Wow.
The chemo wasn't contiguous though, so it was sort of interrupted by surgeries at various points throughout that 10-month period.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing started with a bang. We started with a big old surgery, and then once I was just out of the woods on that surgery, then chemo started up.
Was it inpatient infusion or outpatient oral?
So it was outpatient, but not oral actually. So
really,
so I go into the hospital for 2.5 hours of an infusion every other week, once a week, which I realize is not that much time actually. I mean, you spend much more time waiting, obviously for the medication, but in terms of the actual infusion, I really couldn't complain about the amount of time that took. And then I'd also have to wear chemotherapy home in a fashionable fanny pack that would be infused through my Metaport for 48 hours, during which I could not shower. At least that's what I thought.
Oh, really?
For the entire duration of my treatment until I learned after that there's a shower garment you can wear. So anyone out there that has that thing, you can shower. You just you have to ask for the garment. Ask for it. I didn't ask, and I just smelled bad for 10 months. But so that was kind of the rigmarole of the treatment, and then I had 2 more surgeries during that period.
Right. So stage 4 means metastatic. It was in your liver?
Correct.
Anywhere else?
No, and that was kind of the key to my particular treatment, thank God, is that, even though it was a really crappy situation, obviously no one wants to have their cancer, get up and move to another organ. But, in my case, it picked the right one to an extent because the liver is regenerative. It's one of the 2 organs that have that property in the body, other being skin. And just for liver-only spread, Sloan Kettering developed this very specific type of pump that they use to give very, very targeted treatment through your hepatic artery into your liver, and basically flood your liver with poison / chemotherapy, which turns out to be a very effective supplementary device that is not available in most hospitals.
Well, again, you chose to go to the Royal Crown of centers.
I was I want what the celebrities are getting. I would, if God forbid something happened to the Kardashians, they would go to Sloan too.
Yeah,
and that's where I want to be.
That's our baseline.
Yes.
Chloe chemo. Exactly.
Yes.
So I'm reading here that you had very luckily had mild side effects from chemo, but did you lose your hair?
No.
That's incredible.
And actually, I mean, I was really kind of surprised by that. And I was really prepared to lose a lot of weight and to sort of really physically exhibit chemotherapy and in the way that you see it in TV and movies, which is not always accurate.
Oh God, I hate the way the media portrays cancer.
I know, just a lot of flowing sort of.
It's all Deborah Winger in terms of endearment,
Right. But kind of I had a lot of opposite side effects from what I thought. I ended up gaining weight, and definitely I didn't lose my hair.
But that brings up a wonderful, and I want Luis to chime in because we're hearing again, colorectal is the number 2 cancer in men, prostate being the first, but that's usually very old. So there's been a lot of efforts. I mean, Katie Couric got involved years ago when her husband Jay passed away. So I'm not surprised that the protocols you got are as fabulous by comparison to what we are considering to be the Holocaust of cancer therapy. But it also brings with it a stigma that you don't look sick. Did you, either of you, go through, but he looks fine, Luis, what's wrong with, get over it. Did you go through that at all with friends or coworkers?
Yeah, I wouldn't say you got through it with, friends of no.
Okay.
In no shape or form. But yeah, I would say that in several situations where he would tell, he would tell he had cancer or, I think one time, was it in the subway? Yeah, I think one time in the subway he had just had, I think it was his second surgery, a month before or something like that. And he said in one of those places that are for people who have some sort of disability or
Right,
need
right.
to sit. And I think somebody actually criticized.
Oh
you,
yeah,
wasn't
it was the Long Island Railroad. So I mean,
Of course, anything happens there.
Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, that's not like a place of positivity. So
It's the Walmart of public transportation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a big check minus for Long Island.
Yeah, but I remember you sat there and the person was complaining, and he said, "I had cancer." The person literally looked at him and said, "No."
Yeah.
So, that's it.
Yeah, but yeah, to your point, yeah, I didn't like look, quote unquote, look sick. So I think that was confusing. I mean, particularly there were occasions, and I was very self sufficient during my chemo. I mean, I think during treatment, I mean, in terms of like the caretaking, I mean, I still cooked like all of our meals for the two of us and took care of our dog.
So he's the chef of the family.
Yeah. I like to say that I kept him busy.
Fair enough.
No, but I mean, but that was I really insisted on that because I still wanted to. I was able to do those things, and
Yeah.
I just still wanted to be able to have that normalcy. So, but yeah, there were definitely times when I'd be leaving an infusion or something, and the people on the subway, there'd be plenty of space, but people wouldn't necessarily look at me and be like, "Oh, I should really give that guy a seat." Like he just
Yeah.
had chemo. They would have no idea.
Mhm.
But I was like physically feeling like such crap.
I mean, it's an interesting sort of cultural tipping point in perception of disease, especially cancer, when everything's bald and dying kids. We worked with a show on ABC Family called Chasing Life for the last 3 years, and the lead actor, her name is Italia Ricci. She played a young adult facing cancer, and she did a really good job portraying it as like legit millennial in the real world. We were an advisor to the screenwriters, and even our stuff was on set in actual episodes. But I remember going back to the stigma when we first launched the social media campaign for people to watch this. They're like, "She's not bald. It's episode 2. Get
Give
over
it a minute,
yourself."
right.
Yeah, and then towards the end, when she was starting to lose her hair, the people were like, "Why is she losing her hair? People don't always have to lose their hair." So you can't win,
Right.
but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that you're mentioning here that you sought sort of I hate to call it alternative. It's not really alternative anymore.
Yeah, it's
Like just
holistic.
complementary, holistic mind body. That stuff matters so much. And everyone's like, "Well, there's no science, but it works." So do you want to tell us how you both is that your dogma even before this? You were into that?
No, I feel like I've become like super new agey.
Crystals?
Yeah, crystals.
Okay.
Gargoyles. No, I just realized I think pretty early on, and so did Luis, that at least I mean for a lot of people, and specifically for me, I tend to like run a bit anxious, and like think through things a lot, maybe even overthink them. Like cancer is such a mind game, I think, and I realized that like while Western medicine obviously is gonna, help, the majority of like my malady, I think like there has to be some other influence in there, and that's kind of when I turned to sort of other treatments and sort of supplementary.
Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, so one was getting on like a pretty steady acupuncture regimen. Obviously it's been around. It's a practice that's been around for thousands of years.
Yeah, it must be something right about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I still, I think, in retrospect, now that I'm like in remission and everything went well, like, I can't really quantify like which part of my treatment accounted for how much of my success. But,
Right.
I kind of don't care. I think.
Yeah.
I think maybe the acupuncture did even more than I think it did, but it just put my brain at ease, I think.
Mhm.
And I think there's something about like the physical nature of like kind of being like pricked with needles and like sort of letting toxins out. That's kind of what like the visualization is that I used to accompany it. That feels really good, I think, on the brain. I also got on a bunch of like herbal supplements from the same practice.
Okay. Was that here in the city as well?
Yeah. It was a practice called Inner Source Health, which was great. They have,
We can give them props. That's
yeah,
fine.
Yeah,
Inner Source Health.
Yeah, my acupuncturist Cynthia is the bomb. She's great. And yeah, they took really good care of me. And then like what else? I'm trying to think what else I did. I mean, obviously, like I think getting a therapist is a good idea.
Wait,
if
were you
don't already
working
have
the whole
one.
time too? Did you have to take any time off, or it worked?
Yeah, I basically worked through it, which
That's great.
Except when I was like, immediately post-surgical.
Of course.
After those larger surgeries, like on my liver and stuff, and where they're like really cutting you open, like I needed like a good 5 to 6 weeks to just be able to like get up and moving again.
And the HR people were fine with that, and they bent over backwards, literally, to make it comfortable for you guys to get through this and time off and medical leave and whatever.
Yes, but I think I wasn't planning on having so many surgeries within such a short time period. So eventually my like short-term disability ran out, and wasn't covering my salary at 100% or close to it. And that's just that differs by state and I think by company. So that's tricky. And I had to lean on my parents actually to help support me because I didn't have the money. I wouldn't have had the money to pay my rent.
We just found out that there's like a mic drop serendipity moment. I'll let Kenny.
We had your acupuncturist on the show about a year ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Her husband is a cancer survivor.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, John.
Which is why I think I felt like immediately in good hands with her.
She also was one of our wellness panel with Katie.
That's right.
Oh.
All of the serendipity it's happening today.
Yes.
There we go. The karmic universe is talking.
It all comes back to the Chinese.
Exactly. I do want to say I overuse mic drop to mention the serendipity, but I believe the mic drop of your story is how Luis proposed to you the day it was confirmed that it was cancer.
I know, it's stolen my thunder. Do you want to explain how you did that, Luis?
Yeah, I mean,
we have to know that story.
Yeah, so we went for the colonoscopy that day in the morning, which, by the way, I do have to say from my company's side, Pernod Ricard was amazing. From the second they knew this was happening, I wasn't the person going necessarily through it, but as the next of kin, my company gave me immediately all the time off that I needed, so I could go with him to every single surgery, appointment, etc. So he had the colonoscopy, and we got the news, and it was like the final confirmation that we were waiting on, confirming that he had the colon cancer. And so after that, we went to a diner with his mom called the Cosmic Diner.
Where is that?
It's on 8th and 52nd, I think. It used to be on Broadway back in like the 90s and early 2000s.
Okay.
It moved.
All right.
Same menu.
Yeah, and I have no idea why we ended up in the Cosmic Diner, but we just ended up there. And we were ordering food, like it was 11 o'clock, something like that, 11, 12. And his mom went to the bathroom, and we were talking, and I just turned to him, and I said, "Marry me." And he said, "You serious?" I said, "Yeah, marry me." His mom then arrives, and I said, "We're getting married."
She must have been quelling.
No,
I don't think she like really processed it initially.
No, I think she was so overtaken with everything that was going on that she was like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, cheese.
Yeah.
But what I told him at the time, and I spoke it from the bottom of my heart, is that I wanted him to believe as much as I did that he was going to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him I wouldn't marry a dead man.
There you go.
Just marry me. Just do it.
But I ended up like I held Luis to that, and I basically said that that I didn't want to walk down the aisle with him until I definitely had the cancer like out of my body. So that gave me a little bit of time to prepare for our massive wedding in City Hall,
which was right after Domo was killed.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were again a secondary social emblematic change of what a great way to seal that.
Yeah, we did two things. Is one, okay, let's get married when you get this treated, then that's fine. For me, it was the gesture, and at the time we bought these $10 rings from a street fair in Hell's
next to the funnel cakes.
Were they ring pops? They were ring pops.
They might as well have been.
No, we had to take them off when showering because that's how rusty they would
get. Oh,
God. That's how bad they were. But you know what? We wore them until last week.
Really?
Yeah, we wore them for 3 years. I love those rings. They just mean so much to me. But then we decided, okay, we need it. It's funny because we bought more expensive rings to save the cheap rings. Because the expensive rings can be under the shower, and I don't care if this one, I mean, I love this ring, but I don't care if this one breaks. I just wanted the good one to protect the crappy ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love those rings.
It's a really great story. So you are in remission. Are you still getting, I assume you're still getting followed and scans and stuff?
Yeah, my scans just switched from quarterly to semi-annually. So that's a good progression. So my next scan's not going to be until, I guess, 6 months from the previous one. So the previous one was in October. But I do have to go to Sloan Kettering. Like, here's like the one catch about like their amazing technology. Well, it's not a catch, but it's just part of the agreement. Like when you have this liver pump installed, even when it's not pumping chemo into your liver, they have to keep it like functional and like filled with some sort of fluid, or else it would just, become sort of a vestigial piece of equipment, and they'd have to remove it. And once this piece of equipment gets removed, it can't be surgically implanted. It's like it's a one-time deal. It's one night only. So as a result of that, like I have to go every 6 weeks and have the pump filled with a glycerol solution, which sounds very complicated, but basically just looks like I'm getting a shot in my abdomen. It's actually going into the pump.
So how long does that stay in you?
They recommend it stay in for like 5 years.
Wow. Okay. But do you feel it, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably about the size of like a hockey puck.
Oh wow. Okay.
But it's like always funny at the airport too, because like it kind of looks like a bomb in my body, and whenever I'm going through.
Do you have a card or something?
I do. I have like my trusty ID card that just shows like what like the sort of like vague object is.
Have you ever seen the movie
body.
Frank?
No.
Oh, okay. Reference can be lost on you.
Oh, sorry.
Never mind.
Nice try.
I hope he doesn't have cancer. But but in any event, yeah. So like that's part of my maintenance and treatment. That it's not painful, and like in fact like nothing's happening. It's not.
But it's a good problem to have in the sense it's minor inconvenience, and it's
right.
So I want to just wrap up because you had put in there that life doesn't end with cure, and my whole big angry stank soapbox thing these days is that no one understands that except people who've gone through it. And is it even feasible to impart that wisdom to the general people that cancer never really ends when they say go home?
Yeah, I mean, I think at least like in my case, I feel like my experience is a little bit tied to like having this piece of like equipment in my body, and like when that comes out, then I will kind of feel like there's a bit of like a sort of an endpoint. But yeah, it's at once kind of like comforting and a little bit frustrating that like you're always kind of a cancer patient. Like, I mean, I think you can see it that way. Some people don't, but having been through the experience, I feel like that never really leaves you. But it just gets a lot further away in like your rearview mirror. It's just like it's not something that like I think you really should like forget that happened, because it's it's very formative, and surviving it is something that's very important. But
I also feel there's a bit of a illuminating feeling to it, because I truly think after living with this whole situation that you're just reminded of a mortality that was always there.
Yeah.
And I just feel that you can see it as something very negative, which is the pressure and the anxiety that it causes in you for the rest of your life. And it's there, and let's not deny it. But at the same time, you can always go back to it as a reminder that it can affect any one of us.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of learning to deal with it on a day-to-day basis and focusing on the positive aspects. I like your previous guest when she said focus on being positive. It sounds like a cliche.
Yeah.
But I cannot actually reaffirm that enough. When you have a doctor in front of you saying there's a 20% chance that you'll be able to cure this, which was what Dave heard from his liver the first time that they got it checked. You either focus on the 80% or you focus on the 20%.
Yeah.
And that can make an unbelievable difference down the line.
What a great story. It's a really great story. What is that movie, Frank, that you were trying to be relevant to?
It's gosh, now I'm not it's Michael Fassbender, and he wears a papier mâché head his whole life, painted, and whenever he goes through security, he says, "I have certificate."
No, that's a waste of a face, but fair enough.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, just to talk, to expound on that, a lot of people who go through this, they really do want to put it behind them, and that's perfectly fine. We're not like, you must be blah, blah, it's how you choose to make it part of. What are you showing them?
Getting a Frank visual.
Oh, okay. It's really how we again, like, it sounds hokey. It's how you choose to get busy living, and if this is the life you want to live, then that's fine. And we see a strong percentage of people that are willing to share their story and be there for the next them, and be that, I mean, the LGBT community in our universe doesn't realize that it has people like you to know exist. And we just did a workshop at our conference this spring with it, and we had like 40 or 50 people that came, and it was their first time, not just the niche market of young adults with cancer, but the niche market of young adult couples that are LGBT with cancer.
Yeah, that's pretty niche.
But like, it's super niche market.
Yeah.
But we are becoming that community, and how you choose to be involved or get involved or support what we're doing is very meaningful. And that there are so many other services out there that are doing great work just for our generation and the next generation too. it was serendipitous that my brother brought us together at PivotCon this year and that we met. And I'm really humbled to have you guys here in person. It's such a great story.
Thanks for having us.
Modern Family, great story.
Yeah, totally.
Super stuff. So Dave Neway, I said that right.
Yeah.
Okay. And Luis Freitas, amazing, adorable couple. Colon cancer.
Right.
Survivor. Your dog is named what?
Zelda.
We're 80s guys, aren't we?
Yes.
Video game.
Yes.
Out of the video game.
Well, I can't thank you enough for being here with us tonight, and you're stuck with us now with the family.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Good family to belong.
All right, thanks. All right, Kenny, and now it is time for our closing sequence.
Prepare to activate.
I hear there's rumors on the internets.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
And so, to all of you, a fond farewell.
Hooray! I'm helping.
You are a meathead. Oh, Magoo, you've done it again.
That was so terrible, I think you gave me cancer.
Okay, folks, that's our show. The 369th episode of The Stupid Cancer Show. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes and following us on SoundCloud.
I'd like to thank my guests, Katie Anderson, Dave Neway, and Luis Freitas, for joining us here on this episode, broadcasting since 2007. The Stupid Cancer Show is a production of Stupid Cancer, the largest charity comprehensively addressing young adult cancer online at stupidcancer.org. Coming to you from the chemo deck, and on behalf of my team here at The Stupid Cancer Show, we hope you had as much fun as we did poking a stick at Stupid Cancer. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here on the next exciting podcast of The Stupid Cancer Show. Have a great week, folks. Goodbye.